Today's guest is Meenakshi Lala, the CEO of UrbanStems, a company that has transformed the floral industry through design, technology, and emotion. Before joining UrbanStems, Meenakshi held leadership roles in fashion, blending strategy and creativity to drive consumer connection and brand growth. What makes Meenakshi's story so inspiring is how she integrates two seemingly different worlds, corporate leadership and classical dance. As a professional Indian dancer, she's learned how movement, rhythm, and discipline mirror the art of leadership itself. In our conversation, Meenakshi and I talk about how she leads through creativity, reinvention, and self-awareness, and what it means to build a meaningful career that reflects all parts of who you are. Meenakshi, welcome to the Her Workplace Unfiltered podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Talking about creativity in leadership is one of the most interesting topics. So
yes,
thank you for bringing that opportunity to me.
Yeah, I can't wait to learn more, especially about your dancing and your background in dance. I'm formerly a dancer as well. So I understand how there's a lot of correlation with building an impactful career and your leadership journey as well. So I want to talk about just your career journey as a whole, building a career in fashion. Now you're the CEO of UrbanStems. What inspired your path to leadership?
With all honesty, I don't think I woke up one morning and said, I want to be a leader. I want to be a CEO of a business. It is a journey and a path that has evolved, and it has evolved through a lot of mentorship. I've always said my superpower are my mentors. I started my journey in fashion 25 years or so ago. I'm giving away my age, but 25 years or so ago. And through the ups and downs of growth, I was lucky to have met and crossed paths with incredible mentors. I witnessed incredible leaders lead. I saw leaders who I chose not to follow. Their leadership path was not something that inspired me, but to have this sort of North Star of a guidance of this is the kind of leader I would like to be, this is the kind of leader I would like to work for, was truly inspirational in my journey to running an incredible business like UrbanStems today.
Yeah. And what were some of those traits that stuck out to you in those leaders and mentors that inspired you?
Focus, determination, but empathy. Having empathy towards circumstances, work-life integration. I gave up the idea of work-life balance many years ago. What some leaders that I worked with throughout my journey taught me is don't try to follow a template. Build your own template. If you want to be a dancer or you like to cook and you want to be the CEO of a business or a CXO of a business and you want to be a mom, build the template that, at the end of the day, when you go to bed at night, you feel fulfilled that you did justice to all those roles in your own way. Because what works for you or another leader may not work for me or vice versa. We often admire people, especially women in our circles, and say, I don't know how she does it. She builds her own template. And this is something I was taught very early in my career, which has allowed me to create the life that I can pursue. I can pursue dance. I can pursue my career. I can, enjoy my time with my child and be a mom at that and not feel that I'm carrying a guilt or falling short of my role of responsibility. So to me, this was a quality that stuck with me. And, some leaders that I look up to and admire have taught me this way of life, this way of existence.
That's really incredible because, to be honest, it's hard to find those leaders, especially in this environment today where just in general, we don't have as many women in leadership, especially C-level positions. So it's incredible that you had those mentors to look up to along the way.
Absolutely. Very early in life. And it's a shame that women sometimes have to make a choice and make that choice to take a step back in their careers when they are making the choice to be a mom or, make a career move because your partner has to change states or countries. And I hope, as the world continues to evolve, women recognize that creating your own template and integrating your surrounding life with your ambitions is the key to success.
And it is possible. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, did you always know that you wanted to be a leader?
I enjoyed leadership. I also understood very early that leadership is not just a title. It comes with a great responsibility and a great sense of accountability. So the stress and the pressure associated with it was not foreign to me. And I recognized that I thrived in that. I thrived with that responsibility. It gave me the responsibility and the honor of building and mentoring, of creating a space for other skilled leaders and smart business professionals to create that space for them to thrive along with me. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that environment. And yes, so, long answer to your question, I always believed I would thrive in a leadership role.
And so you spent the majority of your career in fashion. What did that climbing of the corporate ladder look like for you?
Fashion is a brutal industry.
Yeah.
It is fast, it is agile, it is unforgiving in ways, but at the same time, it really grounds you in essential fundamental principles of leadership, of career growth. I think starting your career early in fashion truly sets you up for a successful career path. What fashion taught me fundamentally is to be resilient, to be agile, and being surrounded by good leaders. And wanting to be a good leader myself. Through our journey in life, there are leaders we look up to, and there are leaders we make a choice not to follow and not to want to be like. And they're both learnings. And I took those learnings from my life in fashion to decide the kind of leader I would like to be today.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to talk about dance because there's a lot of correlation of how dance kind of informs your work as a leader. So tell me about what your background has been as a professional Indian dancer. And again, how did those traits and skills that you built through dancing, how does that correlate with leadership?
Sure. So I was born and raised in India. And at a very young age, I started training in a classical dance form called Kathak, which Kathak means storytelling. And it was a dance form that allowed me to study rhythm, study music, study form, and workout. It was a combination of all of the above. Kathak, within the Indian classical world, is often spoken about as the closest form to American ballet. So the structure and the discipline and the practice that is required to acquire that skill is rigorous, the rigor to be a good dancer. What it taught me and the principles that I've taken away: to be a good dancer or to dance professionally, you require good rhythm. You require balance. You have to have the ability to get on stage and cut out the noise around you and focus. And that is not easy. You could be sitting in front of an audience that has young kids that are, not sitting still, or an audience that is distracted, or there's so many different platforms that you perform at. And that ability to be able to cut out the noise allows me today, as a leader in a business, in an environment that, you're constantly facing ups and downs and challenges, to take a step back and say, okay, I'm going to cut out the noise and focus on the goals. And how do I stay centered and focus on my goals? Teamwork. As a dancer, as a professional dancer, almost always you are dancing with the troupe, you're dancing with a group of dancers. So the synergy and the rhythm and the teamwork to deliver the perfect choreography on stage takes a lot of rigor and takes a lot of practice. And it is so similar to how you build your team, how you build your leadership team, and how you gel with them. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and how do you compensate for each other to deliver the perfect choreography? No different from running a business.
Right.
So many similarities in so many ways. But, fundamentally, dance to me is an outlet in a lot of ways as well, personally, professionally. It allows me time to breathe when I am dancing, whether it's, at practice or on stage. It allows me to have an outlet for my emotions.
Yeah.
Which a lot of the times in your day-to-day life, it's hard to find the time or the space to do that.
You can get caught up. And I'm sure too, it fosters creativity and innovation. And again, just gives you that place to step away and get recentered.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your role at UrbanStems as the CEO, which is incredible. What drew you to that organization, and what is the vision that you bring to the company?
What drew me to UrbanStems was the purpose. Every industry, every vertical has a reason to be. But the purpose of sharing joy and happiness fundamentally excited me. Imagine waking up every day and going to work with the mission of spreading joy and happiness in the world. What can be better than that?
Yeah. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, when you send flowers as a giver, as a gifter, it is our responsibility at UrbanStems not just to deliver those flowers, but to deliver your message, your emotion.
That's
whether
incredible.
It's, a birthday wish or an anniversary wish or a sympathy note. You want to show up for a loved one in your life, and you are giving UrbanStems the responsibility of delivering that for you. And that is a huge responsibility.
Yes, very big.
And we take it very, very seriously. So that purpose is what really attracted me to UrbanStems. And it has been nothing short of an incredible 3.5 years with the business.
It's incredible. So with the floral gifting experience, how are you redefining what that looks like for the modern customer?
In general, I believe the consumer today, you cannot assume loyalty. You cannot assume the customer is going to come and shop with you because you deliver, let's say, high quality product.
Right.
That's table stakes. You have to do that to be in business.
Yeah.
How are you showing up above and beyond? How are you integrating your brand vision and your brand values to mirror the lifestyle of your consumer? How are you thinking about all the reasons they would like to send flowers, they would like to send gifts for in their life? What is that personalization element that they're looking for?
Yeah.
What is that careful curation that they're looking for? Listening to the customer and thinking about it from a customer's perspective allows you to, again, take the noise away and focus on, this is what my consumer wants. They want careful curation. They want personalization. And then bringing in a lot of elements of what I learned in fashion, candidly. Fashion, as I said earlier, is a brutal industry. It is agile, it is fast. You have to pivot quickly because things change. You're operating at 300 miles per hour and sometimes have to hit a brake and realign yourself and go in a different direction at the same 300 miles an hour.
Sounds like a startup.
Yeah, exactly. And flowers is all of the above with an additional level of complexity, the perishability of the product.
Right.
Which, you have time works against you. Temperature works against you. There are so many forces, in nature that work against you delivering flowers. So, but what fashion grounds you in, while it teaches you to be agile and, pivot and realign and refocus your priorities, it teaches you to always think about your brand vision and your brand ideology. That brand first motto and brand first approach is embedded in me because of my training in fashion. Through all the brands that I have worked through, where that brand first philosophy is ingrained in my thought process. And that's what I bring to UrbanStems.
That's incredible. And I mean, this is a big purpose-driven organization. So how do you keep the team and the company as a whole inspired and so tied to the community and the mission?
I take no credit for that. I give that credit to the founders. When the founders built UrbanStems or created UrbanStems, every minute of the journey of UrbanStems' growth fundamentally was the seeds of thinking about your consumers, sending joy and happiness, send happy, which is a motto at UrbanStems. It is embedded in the culture of UrbanStems at every step of the way, whether it is your marketing person who is the face of the brand, or it is your packer who is at your distribution facility picking the flowers and packing them into a box. That the message of send happy is ingrained in the organization. I have not seen a group of people that are so driven by that purpose, that are so driven by the authenticity that this brand was built on. And it is incredible to step back and watch them when they prioritize, customer needs over any other KPIs in the business,
Right.
or customer satisfaction over other KPIs in the business. Because fundamentally, we will not exist without our customers. And that recognition and reminder is ingrained in this team's mindset. So, I credit the founders for having values defined for UrbanStems in its initial days.
Mm-hmm.
And as leaders, they have given us the toolkit to carry forward their legacy, which is what, I am trying to do now.
Welcome to Ambition 2.0, the new podcast from Girl Boss, where we'll be exploring what it really means to have it all in work, family, identity, and self, and if it's actually worth it. I'm your host, Amanda Getz, a 2-time founder, 4-time CMO, mom of 3, and author of the new book, Toxic Grit, How to Have It All and Actually Love What You Have. This is not a hustle culture podcast. Ambition 2.0 is for high achievers who want to chase their big dreams without losing themselves or burning out in the process. Each week, I will be speaking with amazing women who've walked the tightrope of ambition and contentment. They're sharing their costly mistakes, lessons learned, and practical tips for how to have it all and actually love your life. Success shouldn't be a compromise. So hit follow and join us every Tuesday as we redefine what ambition looks like today. Welcome to a new approach to ambition.
With those that are listening that are maybe undergoing layoffs, or they're navigating career pivots or career changes, and they're looking for those companies that they can be very tied to the mission and the vision, what advice would you give to them? How do you find that?
You will know when you meet the right set of people or the right business. You fundamentally know. It's like that gut check, that tummy check. When I met with the team at UrbanStems, when I had my first conversation with the team at UrbanStems, I instantly knew this was where I wanted to be. In today's world, you are running from point A to point B. You are living life. You're juggling things. But fundamentally, if you can spend 60 to 70% of your day, which is what we spend working, doing something that gives you sheer joy and happiness, that is an amazing investment, even if it doesn't check all the boxes that you think traditionally you would need to pick a role. If you can get into a business or find a role that allows you to go to bed at night every day feeling fulfilled, that you deliver to your values, you deliver to your passion, you have picked a successful place to be.
And it really is that values alignment of what are my core values and how can I find an organization or be with a company that does align with that.
Yeah, absolutely. That is critical for your mental health and for your success.
So I want to talk about challenges, because all leaders go through change and challenges. And I want to ask you, what's one challenge that you have experienced that tested you as a leader?
So many. I think as leaders, you're surrounded by challenges at every step of the way.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges I'm going to talk about is something that a lot of leaders and entrepreneurs today can probably relate to. How do you create an environment for your teams to thrive and succeed in? There is a lot of uncertainty in the world we live in. Economic uncertainty, geopolitical tension, generational shifts, evolution, change, by way of technology, by way of how do you do things? How do you, I joke, we are a very young company. So I joke at work that I was born before the internet, which is true. But we have seen that evolution, and that evolution, the gap between the evolution has shrunk. It's gone from evolution used to take decades to years to months to weeks to days now, and it'll be hours in the near future. How do you create a community of people? How do you bring a community of people in your organization that understands the agility, understands that, yes, you require AI tools. Yes, you need to think about how paid search is going to change. You need to be surrounded by people that think about those things, but fundamentally stay grounded to the core values of the business.
Yeah.
It is a difficult balance. And generational change also has brought a lot of challenges in the methodology of how you hire and who you hire and who do you want to work for. So I think these are challenges that are recent, but here to stay. And leaders, businesses have to continue to work through finding the balance of what's right for their business.
Yeah. So for the women that are listening, I want to talk about women in leadership positions. As you know, there aren't that many women in C-level leadership roles, not as many women advancing into leadership roles, which is why our work at Her Workplace is so important. But I want to ask you kind of what your thought is on women advancing into leadership, what the future of work looks like for women, since you are an executive level woman yourself.
Yeah, I think it is up to us, the women leaders who have had the privilege and the opportunity to be in leadership roles, to continue building and extending those opportunities to women and not encompassing them into a traditional matrix of if you can show up from X hours to X hours, if you can do X, if you can do Y, if you don't create parameters and borders for female leaders. Give them freedom. Give them freedom to operate in their space. And as I said earlier, build their template with you. You will build an incredibly successful leadership team and hence a successful organization by giving that creativity and freedom to female leaders. So I say that I strongly believe that as a woman leader myself, it is my job and my responsibility to open the door wider.
Yeah.
And embrace other women in leadership roles and promote and grow them and encourage them and give them the flexibility to operate in a leadership role without feeling like they are cutting corners or missing out on other aspects of life. I always say I have a 6-year-old and I say that I will consider my career successful if she grows up to talk about she saw work-life integration with her mom being a leader as well as raising her. And that to me will be the ultimate success of my life, personal and professional. And I hope, other women see that as a successful milestone and not just, how do you just be a good mom or how do you be a good leader? You can be both. And talking about this philosophy more, I think will encourage women to aspire for leadership roles and aspire to create a life that fits their lifestyle, no matter how old they are, no matter what part of the world they're in, or where they aspire to be.
Yeah. And I really appreciate you encouraging the growth and support of other women because not every woman thinks or feels that way. Like maybe they were the only woman back in the day that had to climb their way to the top, and that's just how the culture was. But obviously things have changed. So I appreciate your inclusiveness of that and wanting to help and support other women because that's how things do continue to change. And that's how we get women into more leadership roles.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame. As a woman, we have all faced those challenges, those questions, those pauses in boardrooms, in interview rooms where there's a pause when someone, is evaluating if you are right for that leadership role or not. So now if I'm sitting at the other side of the table, I think it is our responsibility to not have that pause and, give the women across the table the confidence in continuing to push to get to their goals.
Yeah. For someone that, say, is maybe the only woman in the room or they're having to hit these certain milestones to get that promotion or, they're in these environments where maybe they're not as supported as an advancing woman in the workplace, what advice would you have for them?
Don't let the room dictate how you should show up or conduct yourself. You can define how you want to tell the room that's, does not have another woman in the room. You can dictate and decide how you want to show up in that room to help you define your career path. When we let the world tell us how we should show up, how we should behave, what we should do. We are surrounding ourselves with ifs and buts. And you do not need that. You know what you need to do. You know, you have the confidence. If you're starting from the point of, I want that promotion, you know you are the right candidate for that role. And go with that power and cut out the noise.
Yeah.
And focus on that goal and put yourself up for that. And continue to push and continue to advocate for yourself and find sponsors. Some of my mentors have been men, and I have had, as I said, incredible mentors in my career. I was extremely lucky to find them, but I also allowed myself to be found. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
If your mentor is ready to mentor you, you have to allow them to mentor you. And at the same time, then take that culture of sponsorship further in your life and continue to build up on that. Why can a room dictate to you if you can be a leader or not? You know you can be a leader and you should go for it and pursue it.
Yeah. It's taking ownership over your career and the path of your career and where you want to go and be, how you show up at work, what others think about you, how you're building that visibility for yourself.
Absolutely. There is no better advocate for you than yourself.
Yeah. So I want to talk about how you define success today, both personally and professionally.
That is such a difficult question. I've always wanted to be an overachiever. So at the end of every day, I feel I could have done more. But again, you know, as I said earlier, to me, being able to focus on the goals and celebrating the wins and goals is what defines success. Small wins in the business on a daily basis, small wins with your child at home, small wins, you know, with being able to show up for a friend or spend time with a friend. All of these are wins. And I think sometimes we get too consumed in trying to focus on the bigger wins. And the minute you disconnect yourself from that dream of everything being big and massive and grand and start celebrating smaller wins, you will be at peace in your day-to-day life and also feel successful. You know, no one wants to wake up every day. No one wakes up every day wanting to not hit all of their milestones or, you know, achieve all of their successes that they expect to, get through all of their tasks, the to-do list. And if you do get through small steps through your just small items on your to-do list or small milestones or small wins in the business, celebrate it. That's success. It's small wins that eventually lead you to your big grandeur goals. So I try to focus on the smaller wins.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that's how you build and lead your team, is really encouraging them too to kind of focus on those small little milestones that lead up to the big goals.
Yeah. And it's really hard, right? As leaders, you know, as a direct to commerce business in this current, you know, economic environment, it's tough. It's challenging. We are, you know, also dealing with a category that has a lot of nuances and is impacted by, you know, as I said earlier, like a snowstorm on Valentine's Day can make or break our business. These are things outside of our control. And fundamentally, I've always said this to my business, and I strongly believe in this. There's aspects of what we can control, and there are things we cannot control. Let's focus on what we control, and when we control them well and deliver results, let's celebrate them. What we cannot control, if a challenge comes our way, we will pivot and use our best judgment to create the best outcome from that. But if we spend time planning for what's out of our control, we can never celebrate success. We will spend all our time worrying about what if there is a snowstorm on Valentine's Day, and that does not deliver to a productive outcome.
So what impact do you hope that your story and your leadership journey kind of leaves for the next generation of leaders?
There is no ceiling. You know, this myth of a glass ceiling doesn't exist. It's created by us in our minds. And I encourage the younger generation, especially women, young girls, to stop believing that there is a glass ceiling. You can be where you want to be. You can get to where you aspire to get to, and surround yourself with people, mentors, friends, partners, family. Surround yourself with people that believe that you can get there and support you through that journey.
Yeah, that's great. So we do close every episode with 3 questions that really just showcase how our guests are leading and growing and the things that they're doing every day to to stay grounded? So I want to start there with, do you have something that you do every day that keeps you grounded?
I think movement is a big part of my life. Adding elements of movement to my day-to-day energize me, give me a lot of strength and power to move forward. And I love food. Cooking as well as eating food gives me a lot of joy and happiness. And I look forward to those, small bites of fuel throughout my day. Those are my little pick-me-ups that keep me going through some of the, toughest challenges that I encompass and encounter in my day.
Yeah. What is something that you used to think was necessary for success, but you no longer do?
Perfection. I always thought you have to be perfect in everything you do to be successful. And I was wrong. There's a lot of power and strength in walking up to your team and saying, I'm not sure I know the answer to it. Let's solve this together. That two-way respect that you command when you have displayed that vulnerability to your organization goes a long way in building trust.
Yeah. And then what does building a career on your own terms mean to you?
Finding your set of rules. There is no pattern to what is right and what is wrong. You define your right and you define your wrong. And if you start from that place, there are no boundaries.
Yeah. What are you excited for with UrbanStems? I know the holidays are coming up. What are some things that you guys have going on?
So much. Our focus has been really listening. We have always operated by listening to our customer. And our customer time in and has told us they want us to present them careful, curated offering. They want to see us tell them how they should shop and what they should shop for. So we have been investing a lot of our time in building, a calendar of highly curated partnerships where we can bring our customers not just flowers, but flowers and. And there's a lot of exciting partnership bundles that are about to come your way. We're about to enter our peak seasonality. And yes, it comes with its challenges, but it also comes with a lot of success. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. And just one little mention, Meenakshi is actually a mentor with us at her workplace. So our members do get access to get to know her and build that mentor relationship with her. But thank you for being here and sharing your career journey with us and your leadership style. I really loved all of the advice and support that you've provided.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. And I am in awe of the work you're doing at her workplace. And please continue to build up. Young girls out there need organizations like yours. I wish I had them when I was in the early stages of my career. Yeah. So I am envious of the women today that have, access to organizations like these. And I really hope they take advantage of them.
Thank you.